Good morning. Welcome to the Nomadic Troubadour episode 2. Woke up this morning with snow on the ground in Georgia for the first time in 10 years or something like that. I think I mentioned in the last episode that if I find myself in a situation where I'm not playing a gig on the road, I'll just play a song pertinent to where I am. This couldn't be a better example of that. Like I said, it's 20-something degrees out here this morning. I'm out in my backyard, which is lovingly called the Redneck Riviera. In the summertime, it's a different animal. Here in the wintertime, I'm going to try to get through this song before I freeze to death. I grew up in Michigan. I should be used to this, but I've been southernized, and this is just no fun. She'd trade Colorado if it'd take a wind. She closes the door before the winter lets the cold in. She wonders if her love is enough to make him stay. She's answered by his taillight shining through the window pane. She said, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? Said, you're a rambling man. You ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and it was born for leaving. At a truck stop diner just outside of Lincoln. The night is cold and black as the coffee he'd been drinking. And in the waitress' eyes he sees the same light shining. He thinks of Colorado and the girl he left behind him. She said, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and it was born for leaving. Born for leaving. Well, it's a long, long road when you're in the lost and found. Well, I'm a runner, you're a lover, and we go round and round. You know I love you, then I leave you. You know I want you, and I need you. And you know that you're the one who calls me baby. You know I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in cold weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? But you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and it was born for leaving. Born for leaving. When I close my eyes, I see you. No matter where I am, I can smell your perfume through these whispering pines. I'm with your ghost again. It's a shame about the weather, but I know soon we'll be together, and I can't wait till then. I can't wait till then. was a cold, brutal one. Thanks, y'all. See you soon, kids. And like I said, this episode here is going to be about the trailer and the trailer mods. We are not going to do this in the snow. Most of this video footage was shot early spring when I first got the trailer. We're just going back in time. We have an estimated departure date now of about 5 weeks away. This is coming to you retro from early spring. So hang with me, kids, and we'll get all up to date with live and more current videos. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you some back history on the trailer, the car, and the upcoming trip. Thanks for hanging out with me on this cold morning in Georgia. Cheers. That's much better. So, wanted to have this little fireside chat with you all to explain how I came upon the decision to do this trip, my search for the right camper, how I obtained the right camper. In this path to going on this trip, there's been a lot of small things that had to fall into place just right, and this would just happen to be one of them. Bear with me, it's a tale probably worth telling, but might not be too interesting to you all. So back before I retired, like in January when I had this idea, one of the first things I had to question was, what will this car pull? It's a 1967 Chevy Impala. It's a 2-speed. For those of you who don't know what 2-speed means, that means it's a 2-speed transmission, which means it shifts once. Most of you are probably driving around in cars that shift 4 to 5 times. But it does have a small V8 in it, and I kind of looked around at all the documentation out there on General Motors. I couldn't find tow specs for this thing, but basically kind of looking for the lightest weight camper I could find, and it kind of got into these teardrop type of campers. Finally kind of narrowed it down to these new camp trailers. There's a new camp called a Tag, and there's a new camp called a Tab. The Tag is the smaller of the two, which is what I got. And once I kind of narrowed it down to this one just by reviews on quality, I started looking at used trailers, bookmarking the ones that weren't too far away or that were obtainable. In my search in doing so, I find out that, boy, in a few years there, they made a blue and white one that just matches my car perfectly. So I really went on the hunt for a blue and white one. Found one up in North Carolina, bookmarked it on Facebook Marketplace, but at this point I wasn't really sure whether my car can pull that. So set out to put a hitch on my car, which I got done at U-Haul, one of the few places that would agree to put a hitch on the car. Once I got the hitch on the car, I needed something to represent the weight of the trailer. And I happened to have a 2002 Harley Davidson with a small motorcycle trailer, and the gross weight of those two combined came to roughly the weight of this new camp teardrop trailer. So one day in early March, I backed the Chevy up, put the motorcycle on the trailer, 1,100 pounds worth, towed it around the neighborhood, went to a local park and back, and the Chevy seemed to perform just fine, which then opened the door in my mind to go ahead and purchase the trailer, knowing that once you purchase the trailer, you're kind of committed at that point. So at that time, I go through my bookmarks, the ones I had bookmarked. Of course, most of them, say sold. If the seller's Johnny on the spot, he either removes the listing or it says sold. But this one up in North Carolina was still available, and so his name was Gino. I shoot Gino a note on Facebook Marketplace and ask him if it's still available, and he writes me back and says, "Yeah, it is, but I got a guy coming to look at it tomorrow." I bookmarked this ad 3 or 4 months ago, and now over all this time, the time I finally get the green light, I call him, he tells me he's got a guy coming tomorrow. Anywho, I basically said, hey, if it doesn't work out, let me know. And that's where we kind of left it. So the next day, supposedly, I guess this buyer of his showed up, came up with some tale that he didn't have the money, but he'd have the money tomorrow. Gino messages me and says, hey, you might have a chance, I'm giving this guy till tomorrow morning. And then I'm writing him back saying, hey, he had his chance was today, I could be there right now with cash. Gino sticks to his guns, and I'm waiting to see what happens with this guy on the next day. And that's kind of where we left it. And sure enough, the next day, Gino gives me a shout out and says, hey, trailer's yours if you want it. And I think the next day I loaded up the pickup and took off. I think it was Simpsonville, North Carolina, is the name of the town. And it was probably 3 hours. And went up there, super nice guy, super nice wife. Had the trailer out, everything plugged in so I could test everything. I didn't see an issue, and drove the trailer back. One of the first things I did once I got the trailer back was to do just the wiring on, first of all, my pickup. It had a different kind of wiring plug-in than I have on my pickup at the moment. Then I wired up the Chevy, did the same with that, took it for a spin, and I found it pulled maybe a little bit harder than the motorcycle and motorcycle trailer, but it's probably more of a wind resistance thing than a weight thing. But I really didn't feel like I had an issue. In fact, here's a picture of both of them. There's a picture of the truck on its maiden spin with the new camp, and then of course here's the Chevy, and this is basically the way I bought it, and took it out for its first spin, and you gotta admit, she looks damn good on the road. So the remainder of this video is going to be about the modifications I did to the trailer to make it just a little more comfortable to live in for 4 to 6 months. Some of them were mechanical or wiring, and some of them were just more table and creature comfort type of modifications. But we're going to go over those, and that's basically the substance of this video. I appreciate you letting me play a song for you, and I love being out of that cold weather next to a good fireplace. So I'll catch you. We're going to end the fireside chat here, and the rest of the video will be some filming of some of the modifications and where we're at right now, and which is basically ready to pull out of here in 4 to 5 weeks. Cheers. So with any third-party purchase, you're always bound to have a couple issues, right? And it's not necessarily the previous owner's fault. In this case, they always use shore power. They never used battery for boondocking or for their power. So I'm having a little problem with the Norcold 30 refrigerator. On AC power or shore power, it'll run fine. If I'm coming off the battery, it'll run, and then it errors out with a voltage irregulation code. So we're going to discuss this wiring issue in the VIP lounge. Snow is starting to melt. So some of you may know, I plan on boondocking with this camper and car once I get out west, and got a lot more BLM land and government land that I can camp on. To do so, I need this camper battery to run the refrigerator, and that is a main concern of mine, which is why I've been trying to troubleshoot this issue. One of the first steps I did in troubleshooting this issue was to buy a new battery. The battery in the trailer was at least 10 years old. It was just a regular car battery. I replaced it with a lithium-ion battery, ran the test again, still got the irregularity voltage code, which errored out the refrigerator and stopped it from cooling. In preparation for this trip, I had also purchased a Anchor Solix power station. This is a power station that has outlets, DC outlets, USB chargers. This was the plan to run my camera gear, charge my phones, charge my laptop, etc., while the camper battery would keep the refrigerator going. I plugged directly into the DC outlet of the Anchor Solix C800, and the cooler ran just fine. I won't bore you with all the tests I did, but in short, what the issue was is the wiring from the battery on the camper started out at 10 gauge, It goes down into a junction box underneath the camper. From there, it switches to 12 gauge, runs the length of the camper back to the inverter. From the inverter, it jumps down to 16 gauge, and then 16 gauge enters the cooler. So I believe the voltage irregularity comes from the step down in wiring from 10 to 12 to 16. And shame on New Camp for trying to save a few pennies not running this with at least 12 gauge wire. What I ended up doing was rewiring it from the inverter back, pulled out the inverter, rewired everything with minimum of 12 gauge wire to the cooler, and everything seems to be functioning just fine. With all that being said, it is fixed, it is behind me, and let's just go ahead and move on to more of the fun stuff, which are the creature comforts and the small mods I did to the camper to make it just a little more livable for 4 to 6 months. One of the first modifications was to separate this compartment here to keep the sink hoses on one side and then build a shelf in here. So this is my Anchor solar battery. Now that can fit and store right in here, along with my cute little one slice toaster, and then the shelf can go on top and other storage as well. So it just utilizes every inch of space, which is exactly what we're looking for. This modification here is what I like to call an elevated adjustable shelf. This allows me to put things like soup cans, coffee maker, above the workspace of the countertop, get them out of the way. I also made these small triangular dividers so I can mix and match as needed to the size I need. One of my favorite things to store, of course, are my Jack Daniel's glasses, which is my drink of choice for those who know me. And this modification also is on the left-hand side of the back of the trailer as well, and will come in handy to keep things well organized and use every inch of space. I thought I might have the need for an outside table for food prep or other things. Here I'm taking a wood plank that I've got from the local Bloomingdale school that they tore down, and mounting an adjustable table leg to it. This table will mount to the side of the trailer using an interlocking rail system to hold one side up, and the leg will hold the other as shown here. Simply extend the leg, click the table into the existing rail, and voila, you've got a couple workspaces. The table legs then fold down rather easily for storage. You can see here how easily the table legs fold down, and I have also built them to conveniently store underneath my mattress. Another modification I've made is to put in a lagoon table at this location. I'm going to be sleeping on this side. This side is going to be basically where I might do some editing, or if I'm trapped inside the camper, get into the computer and do some work, unless I get lucky. So this is the lagoon table. Basically comes out, can come out here, separate between the two of us. Notice how I said two of us. I can also be sleeping on that side. Here I'll be doing my work. This thing can flip around in various degrees. I can bring it here, be a work table, put it here, bring it over here, and then when I'm done with it, all I need to do is get rid of the throw pedals, bring this over, spin it around, and it it tucks away. And that's going to be a nice addition. Make things just a bit more comfortable. Alright kids, there's one more thing I want to address, and I've been debating whether I want to address this or not, but the last thing I did on the camper was to get the graphics done. Of course, my name is the Nomadic Troubadour. Needed to incorporate music and being on the road, YouTube, Instagram. So in short, I hired this gal that works at a local restaurant who used to do graphics for multiple a restaurant conglomerate. I won't mention her name because I don't want to get involved in any type of liable lawsuits, but I want to tell you a brief story on this. So I hired this girl, gave her over $1,000 to do this. She had 5 weeks, and man, right away I kind of felt like this is going sideways. Wasn't getting anything from her. She was saying, oh, I don't like to show my work, you know, until it's done. I wasn't getting anything, and then about a week before the deadline, she threw me these. This was her first, what she called drafts or proofs. Now, my understanding of drafts or proofs is you deliver them to the customer, they should be distinctly different. As you can see here, all she did was create 3 little hillside things, threw a orange guitar on there, which she said was supposed to mimic the sunset. If you look closely, the guitar is in front of the hills, and I don't know about you, but I've never seen a sunset set in front of the hills. So right away things were off. The whole thing looked like a rush job. If you look at the 3 variations, I mean, you know, she's got one variation of this concept, and the next variation is she threw a couple stars and a pterodactyl on it. And then the third variation, she threw a couple trees. And then this variation here with the Dodge Charger coming at you with, I don't know, a guitar coming out of the back. I don't know what that's supposed to represent. I specifically gave her instructions if I wanted this image of me on the side of the road in a mountain scenery, and I got nothing. I mean, I've worked in Gulfstream. I've seen numerous presentations in the automotive world, in the aerospace world. This was a rush job, almost looked like she took about 30 minutes on it. So she's on her way to Europe, and you know, she delivers me this thing at the last minute, and I'm pretty pissed off. So what I did was downloaded 1 week free trial of Adobe Illustrator, which is what she uses to do this. And me, novice, not even knowing the software, comes up with this, the finished product. Now, tell me how I cannot, not even knowing the software, can come up with this when she delivers this. Now, add to this, she's a 4-year art student major, graduated with a degree, and all I know is I didn't get anything. I wrote her a message while she was in Europe for a month, telling her I was very disappointed that she didn't get back to me. She just blew out with my money, and when I got back, she dissed me, and in short, we're going to court. So I'm happy with these graphics, extremely happy with these graphics. I wish I didn't have to do it myself, but I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. Please leave a comment on this. I don't want to harp on this and make it a negative thing, but this sense of entitlement in the younger generation for not doing any work at all has got to stop. Put in the work, you know, do the work, do the job. That's all I'm saying. With that, I'm going to end this video on the camper. I'm sorry it was a little long and boring. I just wanted to squeeze in all these mods I did to the camper in one. We are 4 weeks away maybe from departure, and I'm looking forward to it. We got a couple videos showing some updates I did to the car, and then we're going to be live. So stay with me, kids, and I appreciate you watching this one. It was a little long and drawn out, and maybe a bit too technical, but thanks for watching. You know, hit the button, subscribe, like, giddy up.